Hi YouTube, please give me a moment while I connect to Facebook. It is not connecting to Facebook, so I'm going to be restarting. Oh, there it is. 1 second, please. Okay, should be live on Facebook now. Hi everybody, welcome to this week's video. I am Sami Abasad, Director of Education at T3 Live. Hope you're having a great weekend. We're gonna go over the market. I'll give you my outlook for next week. We'll also go over some swing ideas, and we'll take it from there. Let's get started. If you actually, a disclaimer before we start, a standard required disclaimer to let you know that trading is risky and that whatever we discuss is for educational purposes only. If you'd like to download a copy of my free ebook, link for that is in the description. And as I always say, if you have any questions for us, email us, info@t3live.com. Again, info@t3live.com. And if you find benefit in today's video, please be sure to hit the like button. First, the market. Market is very bullish. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. Very, very bullish. I never like it when we have a bullish uptrend, a pullback, and then on the attempt to take out the highs, it turns into a big narrow body bar or whatever, a doji bar. SPY is even worse. So I never like it, because then if the next day, if we break under it, you're left wondering, are we turning bearish or what? Now, I won't change my bias on the market unless we break under about 405 on the SPY, and then the Qs, it would be 312, I guess. We break under 312 and close below it, 312.50 maybe. Yeah, 312.50. So I wouldn't change my bias on the market unless we broke and closed under that base from last week. But again, I never like it when I'm bullish on the market and it's up and then tries to go higher and then turns into a battle bar. That's what I call a battle bar, because this bar determined nothing other than to show us that the bears are, they put up a battle. So if we break under it, that would be the first sign that we're going to come in. But really, I won't change my bullish bias unless we take out the base. The IWM looks different. So the IWM, in fact, is a little bit hard to analyze. We have what could be considered the beginning of an M pattern, but we would have to break the neckline first. So if we break under this the last few days, that would be bearish, but we would need to break the neckline, and if so, then we may be lower on the IWM. I saw that the banks, I look at them every day, the regional banks, that's the ETF, it's the leveraged ETF. And they had a gap up and then they got sold, so they're not looking too good. And so that would impact the IWM big time if the banks, the regional banks, broke down next week. So we'll see. But overall, I mostly use the Qs and the SPY for determining my bias. The IWM is good to keep an eye on because it often leads the market, but it's not the be all end all. Right, so I gave you the numbers for all the top two. The third one is, if we break the neckline, the IWM 172.50, then I'd have to think lower. Okay, but for now the bias remains bullish. Here's some swing ideas, bullish ideas. I have a more extensive list in the description. I have a much more extensive list in the description. Apple, we're just as a disclaimer, we're in it from the breakout over here, but can actually either add to the position or take it as a new play. It's got a buy setup plus a 1, 2, 3, but I wouldn't put my stop under the doji bars though. I'd just put it under the pivot on Apple. Looks higher. Needs to take out 166.84. CHGG, another disclaimer, I'm in it already, but it looks higher if it can take out 1835. Let's say 1835. Okay, it'll be higher to maybe 20, maybe even 21, the 200 MA. CHGG. CRSP is a 1 2 3. It's beautiful, but if this was like up here, into a void with no resistance to the left, it would be a lot better. So that's kind of the issue here, is the resistance. But it's a nice 1 2 3. ETNB. So there's two ways, really truly, when all said and done, there's three ways in which we can buy stocks. Okay, one is when stocks go sideways, so they correct through time, and in which case you play the base breakout. Another way is when they correct through price by pulling back, right? And the third way is when they go climactic, right? When they fall apart and then they bounce back up. But really, ignore that third way, because that's very rare. Most of the time, the only two ways you can play stocks or enter is after a correction through time, or a correction through price, or a pullback. In this case, we have a correction through price, a pullback. So I like the ETNB higher over, it kind of triggered already, over 1560, let's just say. Stop under $14. I like the gap also over here, very bullish gap. Never got filled, which is a sign of strength. So if it takes out 1560. FRO, stupid me, I tried to short it. When did I try to short it? I'm not sure. One of these bars triggered short. I think it's the green bar. And I immediately regretted it because it was at the rising 20 on the weekly. So this is actually a weekly buy setup on the FRO. It's not very clean because on the way down we had a pullback, we had a gap, we have a big topping tail. So it's not very clean, but it's a beautiful uptrend. 20 MA, 45 degree. So it's a beautiful uptrend. There is also a pretty tight stop on it using the daily chart. Okay, so the entry for this would be over 1611, stop under 1560, target 19. Normally you want to put the stop under the pivot on the weekly, but in this case one can use the hourly based breakout. Okay, just an idea. IBRX is a climactic weekly monthly chart, down a lot, okay, and has a 1 2 3. So it'd be long over 207 or so, 205. Give it a couple cents. I always try to give it at least a couple cents before I get in or out of the stock. Stop under 185. Target could be 350, could be 4. Okay, so it just have to be managed on the way up. From the regional banks, there's only two that look pretty good right now. The PACW, because it has a nice base over the 20 MA. The entry would be over 1052, 52. Stop, the tightest would be under 980, 970. That's really tight. So that's the PACW. The other one is the RF, which looks good over $19 with a stop under 1796, 95. And target probably 21, the 200 MA. So the PACW has more room to move up. But those are the two that look the best from the regional banks, the ones that got sold really hard. And I'll show you one that looks good short, but it's on the bearish list, which we will cover in a minute. PCG has been, I've been watching it for a while, but it never gave me an entry on the way up here. And now, and the reason why I like it is because of the monthly. Looks beautiful, base breakout on the monthly. And then the weekly is take a look. Gorgeous. So the only way that I see would be over 1703, stop under this bar's low, which is about 1645. So 1703 or so by 1645 as an entry into that monthly base breakout. Pins is it's got a nice monthly chart. Okay, it's a sell setup failure basically. So I like it over the base. You can see the weekly also. Base breakout. The daily isn't perfect, so there's two ways. One would be over that recent base, one would be over the daily highs. Okay, in either case the stop would be right here, and this would be a longer term type play. REGN, amazing bullishness, daily base breakout, all-time high. You can see the monthly is in a 45 degree uptrend. How many stocks look this bullish? I mean, how many stocks are you aware of that are at all-time high and just grinding up, not too extended? So I like it a lot. It's got a good weekly and it's got a good monthly. and a good daily. So long over the base. The daily base is a little bit sloppy, so when it's sloppy, I try not to use a tight stop. That's a stop, or safer would be this pivot right here. Okay, so that's the REGN. It's an $850 stock, I think, 830, so it's expensive. RF we already talked about. SE has a daily buy setup, pretty bullish, and then has a pullback, so long over 85.30, stop under 80.30. So it's a $5 stop, and then target is about $100, okay, off the monthly chart. And then USO is not giving us a good entry on that monthly W pattern or buy setup, right? So here's the initial pullback, here's the retest, and it actually took it out only to end up to turn into a huge bottoming tail, which is very bullish. So USO looks beautiful on the monthly. Minimum target would be the prior high over here, and that is $92 minimum. That's another $20. If it can give us a great setup, it doesn't have a good entry. That's the problem, because it just went up and up and up without basing or pulling back. As I mentioned earlier, you know, I look for bases to play the base breakout, or pullbacks to do the buy setup. So it doesn't have a great entry, but here's one entry, long stop, okay, as a longer term play, not as a short term play, because it's not pretty. Short-term plays, they have to look really pretty because you want them to be ready to go. Long-term plays, they can be a little bit sloppy, but the drawback is that you have to give more room when you're figuring out your stop, which means smaller share size. Here's the bearish list. We played the ASND long actually as an hourly base breakout over here, and then got out when this bar's low got taken out. So it made some money, and now short under this bar's low, which is 79.86, stop over 84.07. Okay, it's a daily sell setup, hourly base breakdown. Okay, so we played the base breakout, and now possible hourly short. AUDC is bearish, very bearish actually, but the base is slanted. We like flat bases, right? So short under the base, stop right here. Okay, so the entry would be under the lowest point on the daily chart, so it looks like it's 1089, and the stop would be, I would put it over 1160. Okay, on the AUDC. This is the regional bank that I like the most as a short. Okay, of course FRC is just not bouncing at all after a massive drop. That's a very bad sign for FRC, likely lower. But actually the one that I like the most is the FFWM. It's on the thin side, doesn't do a lot of volume, but it's just so bearish, wasn't able to bounce at all, and it's breaking the daily lows, and it's at all-time low. So I like it under the base. Stop would be over the base, so under the lowest point on the daily chart, stop is over $7. Okay, LITE looks slower too. LITE has a double bottom on the hourly chart, so if it breaks the double bottom, like a short under, stop over the pivot, over 46. And then lastly, the RPM has a daily sell setup, so short under 80.95, let's just say, stop over 82.60. It's a daily sell setup, not the prettiest. This has been the case for quite some time, and I mentioned it before, which is I'm not able, even on bearish days, even when the market is bearish, it's weird, I can't find a lot of good looking shorts. I have a few that look pretty good, but they're too late. That's why I'm not mentioning them. For example, one such play is Dish, called it short. I don't know which day. I mean, it's like either here or here. So it's been looking good. I had it in the newsletter as an idea on Friday to add to it, but I didn't want to mess it up. But that's a little too late. That looks amazing, but again, it's too late. So I'm having a hard time finding really good short setups, bearish setups. Long bullish setups, oh, there's plenty every day. Check the description, as I said, the video description. There's like 25 at least, right? So that's been an issue, but maybe that's indicative of because it's a byproduct of the kind of market we have. The market, the Qs, is up over 20% on the year. So that's probably that's why I'm having a hard time finding place to take short, because the market has been really so bullish. The market, the final thought that I'm going to share with you here is the monthly chart still doesn't look great. Okay, now I'm not going to wait for the monthly to look great before I turn bullish, right? Because by that time it'll be long gone. Like if you haven't turned bullish already, I mean, the market is up so much already this year, especially the NASDAQ. So for me, that would be too late. But because the market doesn't look so great on the monthly, I think at some point we will have, a big red bar or a pop here and then an immediate drop and then maybe a base and then eventually higher, something like this. If the monthly looked really good, like I showed you the origin, remember? REGN. If the monthly chart of the Qs looked like this, then there would be no reason for me to expect any kind of a shakeout, any kind of an attempt to take the market down, big red bar, breakdown, whatever we end up getting. So I am expecting at some point, I don't know when, it could happen any day, week, month, I don't know when, but I'm expecting at some point to get some kind of a I don't know what to call it, like a shakeout, like I said, breakdown, something, a pop and an immediate drop. I don't know. So we'll see. A lot of the Bitcoin stocks, by the way, also look higher. I didn't put them on the list because I think for the most part they're pretty late. I'm in a few actually, and the newsletter is also in the ETHE, which is doing marvelously. But knock on wood, it got to target 1 actually on Friday. Target 2 is $15. And I have over 3 Bitcoins, just 3 and some change. I have also over 30 Ether coins. I have Binance coin, 47 I think. I have Solana. So I'm bullish on crypto a lot more so than I am on the market. And I got Mara. That looks good, but late. GBTC looks good, but late. So I don't have them on the list. The one that's not too late, I think, would be the CAN, but I don't love it. So it's a base breakout because I think it has limited potential. So long, that would be the tightest, which I wouldn't feel safe using. The Friday's low as the stop. I'd use this bar's low as the stop, and then target is up here. So in my opinion, it doesn't have as much room to move up. And the only way it would have enough reward to risk would be to use the tight stop, which I don't feel comfortable doing. So that's why I didn't make the cut. If you're a subscriber, I already completed the newsletter for Monday. You can log on to your account, go to customer portal, and under subscription resources, you'll see it. Or wait until Monday morning and you shall receive it about an hour and a half to 2 hours before the market opens. So giving you plenty of time to input any trades you want to take. All right. Thank you so much for sticking around till the end. Again, if you haven't done so already, we'd appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel. If you hit the like button, that helps support our channel big time. And we hope to hear from you. info@t3live.com. Thanks again and have a lovely weekend. Take care, everybody.